The Washington Wizards are trying to start competing against the other teams in the NBA. The rebuild is done. Now every move they make from this point on should be focused on one goal: building a championship team around this young core. That means collecting young talent, adding more draft capital, and finding players who fit alongside this team's developing core. While most fans are focused on who the Wizards should select at the number one draft with the number one pick, there may be another move that could quietly help accelerate this team's competitive era. That move might be trading Justin Champagnie to OKC for additional first-round pick and using that selection to draft Michigan big man Morez Johnson Jr. Now, Wizards fans, before you get upset, this isn't about Justin Champagnie being a bad player. In fact, it's the opposite. Justin had one of the best seasons of his career and became one of Washington's most reliable role players. He brought energy every night, competed defensively, and rebounded well for his position and knocked down open shots. On a team that struggled to find consistency, Champagnie was one of the few players who consistently played hard and embraced doing the little things. The problem is that teams entering the competitive era need to think differently. The Wizards aren't trying to maximize next season. They're trying to maximize the next 5 seasons. That's why Washington has to consider selling high if another team is willing to pay for another player whose value may never be higher than it is right now. And that's where Oklahoma City becomes interesting. The Thunder have one of the deepest roster in basketball. Even though they just got out of the playoffs, they're competing for a championship and still own a massive collection for draft picks. At some point, Oklahoma won't have enough roster spots for every young player and every future draft selection. That creates opportunities for teams like Washington. Justin Champagnie is exactly the type of player contenders love. He doesn't need the ball, he defends, he rebounds, he spaces the floor, and he accepts his role. Those are qualities that player teams value. For Oklahoma City, adding a player like Champagnie can strengthen their bench rotation immediately. For Washington, moving him can bring back another valuable draft asset. And that's where Morez Johnson Jr. enters the conversation. If the Wizards can acquire another first-round pick, Johnson can be one of the most intriguing prospects available. When you watch the guy play, the first thing that stands out is his motor. He plays hard every possession, whether he's fighting for rebounds, contesting shots, diving for loose balls, or protecting the paint. Johnson impacts the game with effort and toughness. Those are exactly the kind of players rebuilding teams need around their future stars. The Wizards already have young players who can create offense, especially when they draft ages advanced at number 1. What they will need are players who can defend, rebound, and make winning plays. Those were one of our biggest struggles last season, defending and rebounds. And Johnson fits that description perfectly. Another reason why this fit makes sense is Washington's long-term front court situation. For years, the Wizards have searched for a consistent answer at center and power forward. They already solved that with Alex Sarr, but they tried different combinations and different players at the 4. Even though we have AD, we still need more size, physicality, and a better defensive presence. Johnson can help address all those areas. At Michigan, he established himself as one of the toughest interior players in college basketball. He battled against high-level competition and consistently made his presence felt around the rim. While some prospects get more attention because of their flashy offensive skills, Johnson's value comes from things that directly translate to winning basketball: rebounding, defense, physicality, and effort. Those traits often earn young players more minutes early in their careers. What's also encouraging is that there's signs of his offensive game still developing. His finishing has improved, his confidence has grown, and there have been flashes that he could expand his skill set as further as he develops. If that happens, the Washington Wizards can end up with much more than a defensive specialist. Imagine a player who can protect the rim, switch on different matchups, rebound at a high level, and eventually become a reliable offensive contributor. That's the type of modern big man every NBA team is searching for. Now let's look at the bigger picture. The Wizards are trying to compete and be more competitive next season. They've built a foundation that can compete for 3 to 4 or 5 years down the road. Every decision should be viewed through that lens. Will Justin Champagnie help win next season? Absolutely. But would he be a key piece when Washington is hopefully make a deep playoff run several years from now? Not so much tougher question. First round pick gives the organization a chance to find a franchise player who can grow aside the rest of the young core. That's why asset management matters so much during a rebuild. The best rebuild teams know when to buy and when to sell. They understand that when a player's value has peaked, and they're not afraid to make difficult decisions if it helps a long-term vision. If Oklahoma is willing to part with one of their 2 first-round picks for Justin Champagnie, the Washington Wizards should seriously listen. And if Morez Johnson is available when that selection comes around, Washington should strongly consider making him the pick. He brings toughness, he brings athleticism, he brings rebounding, and he brings defense. And most importantly, he brings a type of mentality every competitive team needs. Players who embrace the dirty work often, because that's the glue that holds successful teams together. Those players may not always receive the headlines, but they're essential to winning basketball. So while everyone focuses on the lottery picks and the biggest names in the draft, don't overlook a move like this. Trading Justin Champagnie for additional draft capital may not dominate national headlines, but those are often moves that end up shaping a rebuild. And if that move leads the Wizards to landing Morez, it could end up being one of the most smartest decisions the front office makes this offseason. But now I want to hear from you. Would you trade Justin Champagnie if it meant getting another first-round pick from Oklahoma? And if Morez Johnson is available, should the Wizards draft him? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss Wizards news, trade rumors, draft coverage, and off-season updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.